Let me show you how you can very easily create better shapes in Blender and at the same time make a bit of money with it. Let's go. Hi guys, Ryuu here from Blender Bros, and in this video I'll show you something really cool. We're gonna learn a few things. 1. How to create simple shapes in Blender with ease. 2. How you can develop your visual library to create better shapes in the future. And 3. How to make a bit of money while doing it. Now this video is not for beginners guys, so if you are a beginner, go ahead to the video description, grab the Jumpstart Hard Surface course in Blender, which will teach you everything you need to know to get started with Blender. And then you can come back here and have a look. And as usual, we're gonna be using add-ons here like Hardups and Box Cutter, because who doesn't? Alright guys, let's get started. Now the way we're gonna do that, we're simply gonna grab some examples from internet, some trim sheet packs, whatever, and we're gonna put them together in a one pure file like I did here. We're gonna research them and see what kind of elements we like. Then we're gonna grab these elements, gonna juggle them in our brains and come up with something fresh and original. So the first thing we need to do, we need to establish which elements we're gonna be using for a reference. So let's have a look. For example, this lock here is really cool, this element. I like it. This is pretty interesting as well, this bit here. So you see you have this one too kind of coming inside of this panel, and it's pretty cool. That's pretty neat as well. And then there was one more here that kind of caught my eye. Where is it? I think it was here. Yeah, that's pretty interesting too. Like you grab this idea, for instance, and round these edges up here and create continuity in here on this side, maybe using some concepts from, from these, right? So we could maybe grab, let's say, this part here, or even this one, and combine it with this idea here, right? So let's see how it goes. All right, so let's just fold this in here. And of course I'm going to be working with Hardups and Box Cutter. Now when you're working with decals for decal machine, because I'm going to be using decal machine to bake it, what you want to do is you want to work on a plane, and you want to keep that plane here in the middle. So Shift A and add a plane. Now don't touch it, don't move it, don't move the origin point, just keep it here. And also it has to be a plane. It cannot be a circle or anything else, it has to be a plane. You can resize it, okay, but don't move it from this elevation here, okay? All right, cool. So let's scale this a little bit because it's too long, right? You can hold Control to snap it to increments. So what we're gonna do here is we're going to extrude this down, right, like this, okay? Select everything with A and Shift N to recalculate normals. And this is gonna be our base plane, okay? So we're gonna be carving inside of it. So let's go here. Let's go to Box Cutter, and we're going to cut here. Press B for bevel. You want to be quite generous with bevels. You want these shapes to be quite supple. Now let's just extrude it down here and press T for solidification and click. And we're good to go. Now we're going to apply that, and since we did, we can actually remove this, select everything, and we're going to click on Mark to remove the sharp edges. You don't want to have sharp edges on the edges here outside this landing plane, the supporting plane. We do want sharp edges inside, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to mirror this and apply the mirror. Let's multiply. There we go. And now we can clean that. So select, select these and press F and just mirror to the other side. And there we go. So now we have these connecting edges here in the middle, not in corners, okay? So let's just bevel this, and let's say 8 segments at least, all right? And that's good. And now we're gonna select this one, Control L, P, and selection. So we're gonna basically separate it to its own selection, right? And now we can sharpen this, okay? And we can bevel this with a normal bevel and apply weighted normals. And we also have to apply weighted normals here, okay? Now weighted normals on this landing plane, they need to be a bit special. So we need to go here to flex this and face influence, all right? It should be good. Cool, now here the same thing. We're gonna go to bevel, and we're going to go to shading and change it to affected. And here face influence and also 100%. This will help us to really flex these faces on the flat surfaces, and the shading on the decal is gonna be perfect. You can't see the difference in a normal Blender like Cycles viewport, but when you bake this and you'll actually look at the decal, you can see the difference between these two, right? So there we go. Now we can actually start designing here. So we have this basic shape here in the middle. And first of all, we need this handle, right? So let's grab that and let's just insert it like this. And we're going to insert it one more time, which is going to create some disaster. Actually, this is a bit too deep. Maybe something like this, right? And let's just select this edge here. Okay, press Y and unfuck, and we're going to fix that. You can scroll your mouse to affect the outer bevel as well. Then then we're going to Alt X and Alt X to both sides with Mesh Machine. So by doing so, we're gonna be able to create a really nice bevel here, round bevel. Control plus, and then Control I to invert it and delete faces. So we're now left with just this, right? So once we're left with this one, we don't need this face either, so we can remove this. We're gonna grab that and we're going to solidify it. Okay, so let's go to solidification and solidify downwards like this to create this kind of like a handle. Can actually scale it just a little bit to fit it a bit better in this frame here. All right, cool. So we got the handle. We can fix the beveling here on this. So let's just control click on sharpen to apply that. And we can, you know, kind of soften it up a little bit like that. Okay, cool. So we got this handle here. And in fact, this could be, you know, slightly narrower. So this will do. Cool. So we got that. And now we can create some mechanism here very quickly. So let's grab a cube and scale it down. Right, scale it here. Let's go to side view, drop it somewhere here, and scale it on y-axis, move it in here. Let's grab a loop here, Control B that, and we can extrude it in here. We can grab this edge here and chamfer it. Let's just apply scale. Control A, apply scale. Gonna scale this here, and we could just move this down here a bit and scale it up like that, and this one, scale it down a bit like this, so move it below. Okay, cool. And we can cut this here because we don't need the lower part, right? So now what we're gonna do, let's just scale it up in here like this, sharpen, apply scale, and we're gonna add a bevel here. But before we do that, let's actually bevel this here. Okay, Alt X to the other side. We can bevel two corners as well. So we can bevel this corner. Then we can bevel this corner. Right, and then Alt X to the other side. Clean mesh, so operations clean mesh to clean all the junk. And we're gonna bevel the whole thing, okay, like this. You want to maintain really, you know, sort of soft bevels on your mesh, okay? Cool, so that's that. And then we need also something here, right? So what we can do is grab this face here, this one, and rip it off with Control click on curve extract and move it slightly here, right? And then grab these and GX, move it in here, and then EY and move it in here, right? And then select these two and EX and move it in here, and then Alt X to the other side. And then what we're gonna do is, let's just grab it to local, select this one, Shift DY and move it in here, right? And then we're gonna align it. So align it with one of these using machine tools. Okay, perfect. And then we're gonna combine it. Okay, so combine it here, combine it here, okay, and then Alt X to the other side. And now what we're gonna do is we're going to run bevels here. So one here and one here. And we're gonna clean that. So 3 to clean that. There we go. Run 2 bevels here like this. Okay. Okay, and then one more bevel here. Awesome, and then Alt X. So we got this shape. Let me think. Let's bring this up. So Alt A, select everything, and F, and Alt X to the bottom and clean it. There's something wrong in here. Hang on. Alt X to the other side. There we go. One more time. And press F, and then Alt X to the bottom. How we looking? That's interesting. Cool. So let's scale this a little bit on X, right? Could even mirror this across here to create, you know, even sides there. Let's grab this bevel here. Okay, I mean this whole actually bottom, and move it down. So GY and move it down. Here we're gonna have to fix this bevel. Okay, see the bevel here? It's problematic. So what we're gonna do is grab this bevel, right? Go back, and we're gonna use refuse. So refuse, press W, and we can change the width of it, and you know, make it more round. Then Alt X, and you're done. Okay. So there you go. There's a very basic kind of like a latch. Maybe this should be a little bit down here like this. This could be actually a little bit thicker, you know, so we could grab that and Alt S and kind of scale it inside, you know, a little bit, right? And maybe the bevel is a bit too large. Maybe you could do something like this, or maybe scale it down a bit. So scale it down a bit and drop it down a bit like this. Okay, cool. All right, that will do. We could add some screws here, whatnot. So we could, you know, we could add some kind of bolts or whatnot, right? And in addition to this one, we could create 2 more cuts here, just to create some interest, right? So we could run this cut here, wedge cut. So press W with box cutter, hold Control, and cut it in here, and simply mirror to the other side. And to be honest, we're kind of done. So there you go, very simple kind of a latch. Now what I want to do is I want to minimize the size of this landing plane because we don't need it to be so large. So G, Y, and move it in here. And this one, G, Y, and move it up. Okay, cool. Control A, apply scale. Now let me just apply this here quickly. So smart apply here, smart apply, and smart apply. And we're going to grab all these and Control J, okay? So this is going to be one object. It's important. We're going to have one object here, and we're going to have one object here. So I have a really cool design. Looks pretty awesome, and I think we are good to bake this. So let's select this one and select this one with Shift, then go to N. We're going to go to Machine. We're going to do Mesh Machine and go to Create. Going to create a decal, right? So simple decal. First of all, we're going to try it out. So we're going to go with resolution 512 and anti-aliasing for always, right? We don't have any emission, but we could have emission. You know, we could have, for example, embed an emissive mud here to indicate that the, you know, this is locked, okay? So we could do something like this, to be honest. So now we have one bevel here, right? One bevel. We don't have weighted normals, so we need to apply that. So one more time, apply weighted normals and influence affected. That's right, and 100%. Okay. So this one is with weighted normals. Now we want to apply a light here, right? So we could even create one here on the corner. I mean, on the corner, on the top, like this. Then press T, right? And just scale it up a little bit, like that. And space to apply this. Okay. And we're going to apply that. So operation smart apply. We're going to select it, press L, P, and selection. And we're going to, you know, make a smaller bevel here. Now, when you create a shape like this and you're going to combine them together now, the bevel is going to be inherited. So let me show you what I mean. You see what I mean? The bevel is going to jump back to this one. So what we need to do is we need to actually apply a bevel here, okay? And the same here, we're going to have to apply the bevel, otherwise it will not work. So Control J to combine them together. And now what I can do is I can actually insert this here like this, right? Insert this here like that, insert this a little bit more, and then insert it outside like that. So what I could do now is, you know, bevel this manually, okay? Then Alt X to the other side. The same thing I could do with this one, okay? So click these two, and same bevel here, and text to the other side. And we're going to clean that, so clean mesh, okay? And then we're going to bevel it. So click, Alt click, and bevel it. And click, Alt click, and bevel it, okay? Cool. And then we're gonna add this emissive material here, right? So to do that, what you need to do is add matte to it first. So go here and add a matte, right? And we're gonna make it darker. And then here, with this one, what we're gonna do is add a matte to just this emissive bit, okay? So click that, Control plus, up to here, and then click on the plus here, new matte, and then we're gonna change this to emissive and a sign, okay? Now make sure that it's not white, because if it's white, then it will not work very well, okay? Emission, maybe let's set to 2 and a sign, and this should work. We can check it if it's working here. It's working perfectly fine. And let's just go back. In fact, this should be probably red or some orange, whatever. Cool, so we have it done, and now what we need to do, we don't need this anymore. We can power save this. So now with this done, we're going to bake an emission, okay? So bake an emission, you could also bake the bounce light, okay? But if you bake the bounce light, remember that it's going to take more time to render, so be careful. For the purpose of trial render, I'm going to just, just bake this. So select this one, shift, select the plane, that is the base plane, and go here to create subset decal. Now you just have to wait. Now, depending on how strong your PC is, you'll have to wait a specific amount of time. When you bake in light emission, it's always longer. If you have a lot of bevels, it's also kind of longer sometimes. So, be aware of that. Okay, so the decal is baked. It's on top here. You see that? The decal is on top. Now, the trick is not to move it, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to grab a quad sphere, move it in here, okay, on x-axis, make it large, really large, and make sure you're going to subdivide it, Control 3, so it's going to be smooth, okay? Now we're going to drop some matte on it with hard ups. Go to cycles, right? And we need some light, okay? So let's go here and make sure that we have some HDRI, right? So let's go to world and click on this, Control T. If this doesn't work for you, make sure you're gonna go to edit, preferences, and add-ons, and enable something called node wrangler, okay? This will allow you to create shortcuts with nodes here. Now, download an HDRI from internet. I would suggest grabbing abandoned slipaway from polyheaven.com. And we're done. This is too reflective. Let's make it a bit more rough and maybe a bit more dark, okay? Peachy. So now we're gonna grab this decal here from the top, right? And I'm going to Shift D that, okay? And drop it in here and just press W to turn off box cutter. Now D, and when you project, hold Alt to create this kind of like a distance, like a distance box. It will allow you to wrap your decal better around your surface, okay? Especially if it's curved. Boom, and look how cool this is. Now, this is only, right, I mean, remember, this is, 512, so it's not a super detailed one, but it's pretty decent nonetheless. Now, what we could do is we could create additional kind of like a line around this shape to emphasize a bit more the, these edges. Also, these kind of pulls here, they're quite normal, especially when you are baking something that's perpendicular to the rays, because Blender always bakes from the top, so like this. So if you want to avoid these pulls, this is parallax basically, you can actually scale your model in. So let me show you. So if I delete that, what you could do is grab this inner plane here, right, and scale it just a little bit in like this, okay? Now be careful because we have this bevel here, right? So what we need to do first, we will need to actually unbevel this, okay? So unbevel this whole edge with Mesh Machine, and then go to the top view, scale this a little bit in, or even better, right? What you could do is press F here and inset it, okay? So inset it a little bit, and then Control plus, and then go to edge mode, then select this edge here, right, around, and dissolve it, okay? This will basically create this kind of like an inset. You see, like this kind of like a slightly angled edge here, and select this on the top, and let's just bevel this one more time, and you could actually bevel this one in here, but just let's mark it sharp and bevel this, okay? And remember, these edges here, they all should be marked sharp, okay? That's very important. Okay, so we have this kind of situation. Cool, that looks awesome. So what we need to do now is we need to, what we want to do is we want to create kind of like area here, right, in the middle. So select this plane here, and we can insert it like this, just a little bit, right? So insert it like that. And we're going to fix this. So select these planes here and press F and Alt X to the other side. This one as well here, so F and Alt X to the other side, because all we need now is this edge. So now we're going to select this edge around here, right? This one. So let me just collapse this because we don't need it. So click, Alt click, and we're going to bevel this, right, like that. Control B, and we're gonna drop that. Okay, so now don't drop it below this plane here, right? So, you know, just a little bit, yeah, will do. And we're going to click, Alt click here and bevel, right? Be generous, click, Alt click and bevel, right? Cool. And we got this kind of like a edge going around. So now I'm going to turn on this 1K resolution, and also I'm going to go with bounce light. Let's make it look nice, and it's going to take some time to bake, so you know, be patient, because bounce light takes really a long time, especially if you have a lower end PC, so be aware of that. Alright guys, so let me just render this. Alright guys, so it's baked, let's check it out. So let's just save it because reasons. We're gonna delete that old, actually let's keep that one for comparison, shall we? So since this one is an actual bake, definitely we're not gonna be moving that, so we're gonna shift D that. So if it's okay, we're gonna be able to add it to our decal library. So I'm going to project it here on the right hand side, okay, somewhere here. So D and just let's line it D and Alt on project and click, and then we're going to go to our cycles view. Now you see that the quality of the bake is much higher, the resolution is much higher, it just looks much better here. So once you bake your decal, you need to look around and see if all these kind of issues. D, adjust, and D again, and we can control the parallax, you see. So you can hold shift and adjust the parallax. So adjust the parallax to you know, a place where you think it's working for you, but it's not breaking the decal. Now another thing is, don't preview decals in orthographic view like this, always preview it in perspective mode, okay? So this looks pretty clean to me. This decal is going to be much smaller when you're going to actually add it to your library, but it's really clean, came out really nice, and we have a really awesome, you know, kind of a sci-fi hatch. I don't see any shading problems. Always check for shading problems at, you know, steep angles, if there are not any fun lines going through, etc. You will see a bit of a parallax going on always, so you know, don't worry about that. It's the nature of decals. But this looks pretty clean. The way you add it to your library, you simply have to select a folder to whichever you want to save it. I'm gonna save it under test, and I'm gonna click on this decal, okay, this decal here, and simply add to decal library. And that's that. Now when I'm going to go here to D menu, so when I'm gonna go to my test folder here, you can see my decal is here, and I can see that it's much smaller than the actual, you know, decal after baking, right? So this is the real size of a decal, and just let's project it and see how it looks. It looks really clean, very nice. You can, you know, hardly tell it's a decal, you know, it looks really nice. So you see, this is how you can create awesome details for your sci-fi models, and you know that you created it and this is your design. And when you add it to your you know, to your models, it's gonna maintain the consistency of style, and you can create massive libraries of these, the same with stream sheets, and then you can put them into packs and offer them on, you know, Blender Market, on Gumroad. Now I can tell you that in terms of my private decal collection that I started to creating, I think it was the very end of 2020, so let's say 2 years, I made about $30,000, which is not much, of course, if you cannot live off of decals, but hey, 30,000 bucks, you know, you could buy 2 very powerful PCs, you know, with this. So maybe even 3, okay? So, you know, it's not a joke. You could make some decent money out of it. There's a whole way of selling your products. You cannot just offer a paid pack and expect you're gonna make millions. You know, there's a way of selling it. You need to show people how to do it, help people, you know, provide a lot of value, maybe offer a free pack so people can see how good your decal really are. And if the, you know, the paid pack is actually worth investing, because not one wants to buy something and be disappointed. Make sure that even the free decal pack is spot on, is spotless and flawless. I spent countless hours creating really good quality decals, so I know that if someone buys my pack, you know, they're gonna be satisfied. So anyway guys, this is how you can very easily train your brain to create small sci-fi details that you can later on use for your model. So not only you train your brain how to think in a specific style, which is your style, developing your own kind of you know, visual library, but also you create something that you can use in the future. So you're not only not wasting your time because you're learning something, but also you're creating some assets you can be using for the future models that will save you a lot of time. Because let me tell you, if you haven't seen, go ahead and watch my video on Star Citizen, and it shows how many decals they're using in their design. There are so many decals in the ships from Star Citizen that when you detach the atlas of, you know, the decal atlases from ships, there's so many decals, literally thousands. They actually form the outline of the ship, okay? So all the details are created with decal atlases. So decals are very powerful and they can be used in gaming, and they are used in gaming. And so like I said, not only you can sell them, but you can also use them in practice for creating models for your portfolio or even creating game assets. Decals will save you a lot of time in the long run, and again, teach you a lot of valuable skills and potentially earn you some money. Alright guys, well that's it for this video. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.